everybody. Welcome to Kasia's Voice. Today I would like to introduce you to my very good friend, Mariusz Olszewski, that we know each other for, oh my God, years.
Yeah, almost 20.
That's it. We're like Chaddy Marys, the two of us.
More than 20. More than 20.
That's
Because I still dance, you still dance. That's how we met. You know, when you stopped dancing with Donald and Donald introduced us.
correct.
Because Minneapolis for coaching,
Mhm.
that's how I met you during the competition. You were still dancing with Andrew.
Very true.
But then we became good friends after you and me stopped dancing, because most of the friendships in ballroom, they start after people retire
Well,
from dance.
that's the thing, because you're so busy, I think, with your career, right? That you meet people, you end up talking, but then you are so zoom in into what it is that you do that you kind of go, okay, that's a cool person, but you don't really have time for the outside stuff, sadly.
No, yeah, exactly. It's like, you stand in line on the call, you see people every weekend and you say hello, hello, and then you need to warm up. And then maybe at the party, and usually you bond friendships with people who don't dance even in your style, normally.
Exactly, very good point, right? Because we are usually competitive, right? So you don't really want to get too close to someone that you're hoping that you're going to take their spot.
No? Unless it's like, I recall I have some friends for 35 years from my very first dance school in Poland, We met when we were 15 years old, so then it didn't matter. Everybody started. So each time I travel to Poland, I still meet few of my friends and my first coaches, they're still my, the best friends, in life, It's like those friends are shaped for life, and
Social friendship comes a long way. So just quickly let you know, Mariusz, just like me, is from Poland, right? So maybe you can tell us a little bit about what you've done, your kind of background, because he's very fascinating person. He does ballroom, but he does significantly more than ballroom. He's a fabulous dancer outside. So I'm just going to let him tell us a little bit of where, what are his great things, how he started, how he moved here, and then we continue with our conversation.
Okay, so I started my dance life, because my life motto is I live to dance, I dance to live, and
That's awesome.
it's been present in my whole life. I started dancing in my high school actually, which is late for any dancer basically, I always wanted to go to ballet school, but my parents said, no, today you wanna dance, tomorrow you will be taking you out of the school. So I waited until my high school, and then my coach started first competitive high school program for students, in high school and grammar school as competitors, and that's how I started,
And it
and
was ballroom dancing, or it was no?
only ballroom dancing, So of course I did 10 dance, I got my international S class, and then my life kind of shifted a little. I wanted to do more, and I heard on television news that there was an audition for first professional modern dance company in Poland. It's called Silesian Dance Theater. So while I had my ballroom outfit for a new competition fitting, I heard the news and I called if anybody who has no ballet training could join them, and they said, yes, please come. So I auditioned. So after doing for 5 years my ballroom, becoming top ranking dancer, I decided to audition, and then I joined them. I went to audition, and after 2 days process, they hired me. But they said one, request: you have to learn some ballet, because all the audition was led by this French, Belgian, choreographer, and ballet has totally different names than ballroom, and I remember after the first part, they came up to me and they said, do you dance? I said, yes, I do. But have you ever done ballet? No. So you're not a dancer. I'm like, yes, I am a dancer. I just said, if I told you 3 New Yorks, Alemana, hockey stick, in Rumba, you wouldn't know what to do. It's just, and ballroom people will dance entire song. So same for them, when they say Ronde de Jambe, Battement, develope, it meant nothing to me. So they said, okay, stay for the second day. So I stayed for the second day, and it was already, the movement and choreography, not just ballet exercises. And that was like heaven, you know.
Oh,
So,
what
and they said, "Who are
nice.
you?" Yeah, there was no names, you know, and they said, "Okay, so because auditions were like in September, we were starting in December. They gave me 3 months to learn ballet. So literally, I had to go to learn ballet with 5-year-olds because first time I went to ballet school, it was men's program. I was like, I don't belong here. I know nothing. So I literally, like in the movies, had to learn ballet with 5-year-olds, you know. So, but it was good. So I danced with the company for 5 years too. It seems like my whole life goes in fives, you know, like 5 years of ballroom, then 5 years in modern dance company. After first year, I became the lead dancer in the company and assistant to the director.
That's
And final season, and we were touring in United States, and I thought, what do I do next? You know, it's like in Poland, there was not much back then, you know, 25 years ago or 30 almost, you know, by now.
very
So
different.
different times. And during our performances, there was the known American company based in Minneapolis, Jazz Dance by Denny Buraczewski, and they needed to hire one male dancer. So in the evening, we had performed.
This is my escape.
The dancers in Minneapolis said, you have to audition, you know, you have to at least try. So I said, at least it will be like a good warm-up before the show. So I went to audition. I've never done any jazz, and that's my life. Each time I start something, it's the style I've never done before, you know. It's like from ballroom to modern dance. From modern, in Poland, there was no jazz dance back then because it was considered this Western, you know, style of dance, you know. So when you live in post-socialism country, we had no access to it.
Look up on Bedland also, you don't have choices. I mean,
well, they don't even know what I'm talking about. So I went as a warm-up, you know. I felt terrible after auditions, you know, and we flew out from Minneapolis, went to New York to our tour, moving forward, you know. And then my friends keep calling me. It's like, Danny is looking for you. He wants to hire you.
oh wow.
So it was December. I went back home and I told my parents, you know, hey, I think I will be moving to United States for a year. I want to see how life is there, you know, and how it is to live in America. So I was hired, and then I danced and performed for 5 years again with that company. We toured all over United States, including Kennedy Center, Joyce Theater, you know, all the major modern dance festivals in America. And then, you know, after 5 years, I was like, I need to do something more. And my friend, you know, good friend of mine, Nathan Daniels, who's a known judge and former dancer too, he says, you know, I think there is a girl you should try with, you know. I said, I haven't done ballroom for like 10 years. During those 10 years, you know, I still was helping all the ballroom people. I was coaching in Poland. I started choreographing. My first clients for choreographing show were former 10 dance Polish champions, you know, Arek and Iwona Pawlowicz, and then Agustina Górola and Joanna Szokalska, 8 times Polish Latin champions, you know. So I never, you know, stopped being involved in ballroom, but as a dancer, I wanted to go to do something else, you know, to progress more. And then, so I said, okay, I'll try. And that's how it brought me back to competitive ballroom again. And then again, for 5 years, I was like competing, dancing, you know, and then when I decided to retire, you know, group of friends here in Minneapolis, we decided to form ballroom dance company, which was called Beyond Ballroom Dance Company. It was the only back then in the States that was, you know, creating theater work, stage work using ballroom dance techniques, you know. And then it moved, you know, from then they invited me back to Poland after 20 years of not doing anything there, you know, and I was invited to choreograph on So You Think You Can Dance. Polish version of the show and Dancing with the Stars. So I did it for 8 seasons, and which is 5 years because we had double seasons first. And again, 5 years I did it, you know.
The number, right? The 5.
5 is my number, you know, which is interesting, you know. And then, you know, I think I set up the record in Poland, you know. I created over 35 dance routines, you know, on that show, and then they discontinued after 8 years. You know, it's a smaller country, and
correct.
there's, you know, twice a year it became harder and harder, you know. But then, you know, life in America brought me back, and now I'm choreographing and coaching too.
So I'm glad that you are back because, you know, now I get to see you. We don't get to see each other very often. I live in San Diego, for those of you that know me. Mariusz, as he said, he lives in Minneapolis. But when you're really good friends, even when we don't see each other, when we do, it seems like we just pick up drop the conversation yesterday, pick it up today, and we just go with it, right? So that's the fabulous thing about having.
I remember a long time ago when we went to Blackpool together, which is closed, definitely, you know, and we spent 9 days together, and we couldn't stop talking, you know, until this person like drops.
Falls asleep for us. That was the
answer. Okay, that's
very true. Yes. So you know what? I just listening to your story. What I would like to maybe have us talk about it. I love how what you said that every so often you wanted to grow. Every so often, right? You've done something and you've become successful, and then you were curious. Oh, I would like to try this, and I like this idea, the bravery of yours to go, I've never done jazz, but it seems like a good idea. Why don't I try it? I've never done ballet, but it seems like a good idea. Why don't I try it? Right. And so I would like to kind of touch upon that subject because I think a lot of time people are scared of trying something new, or they put a limitation based on, oh my God, on my resume, right? I don't have enough background to even try that. The heart might want to maybe go, but our logic, we are so trained to be so logical to go, I don't have an experience, I haven't gone to school for it. So therefore, almost like the past limits what we can do in the future. And I love you sharing with us that, you know, you've been doing one thing and then you go, wow, I've seen an ad, and somehow you got inspired, right? That you were brave enough to do that. So why don't we maybe talk about this and kind of allow people, or, you know, open people's minds that it's okay to do that. Right. So did you feel scared? Did you, like you were saying, you know, like, oh my God, I thought they did not like it. You moved on and people keep on calling you. Right. But you were brave enough to do that. So,
you know, from the beginning, I was kind of lucky. I realized, you know, I always work with like former champions or people who were creating something, certain style of dance, you know, or like started new company. And one advice I got very long time ago from this one teacher, it was body mind centering teacher. And I remember after lessons with him, I started crying. I said, I have no time to do it all. And he says, you know, you can try whatever you want to, and depending what you want to do with it. So it's like, if you want to learn new things and incorporate it into what you do right now, that's the best solution. Of course, we don't, because you can spend lifetime, you know, doing yoga, doing, you know, Pilates, doing, you know, any training, you know, because we get, as dancers, we get so fascinated by it, you know, as movers.
Yes.
You know, so that was like the best advice, you know. It's like whatever I do in my life, it's to progress, to improve my knowledge, my information, my, you know. And nowadays, you know, in order to be a good dancer, you have to have at least to try other things, you know. Dance moved beyond one style, you know. You see ballet people doing contemporary work, you see so many elements in ballroom, you know, American smooth. It's like, to me, it's like contemporary dance, basically, you know, because it's like the more
right. So there's in order to grow, right, you have to explore other things or be open. Like I had a conversation with another friend of mine, just a private conversation, about how when we become experts, even though it gives us a lot of knowledge, right, and you can share with people lots of times. So at first it's an expansion when you are acquiring all the knowledge, all the expertise, right? And then when you become really good, a lot of time that expertise become your limitation if you do not look beyond it, if you're no longer curious what's out there, right? Because then people lots of times say, no, this how it has to be. You are putting yourself in the box of your knowledge, of your expertise. So I kind of like this idea that, you know, let's open your mind and your body to what's out there, and how could you possibly go, oh, if I take this, how that's going to affect my dancing, right? How that's going to affect not only dancing, because we can talk about life as well, right? It's putting different elements from out to your life and go, how does it change me? Do I like that? Or, you know, sometimes you can just take a part of it. You might learn something in, you know, a big subject or big style, and then you go, I like certain parts, and I would use these particular parts into the thing that I'm creating.
And always when you become an expert in something, there is like, you have to build a system.
Right.
How you do it, how it happens,
Mm-hmm.
and then to pass it on to other people. It's like, and we meet people from different backgrounds and different lifestyles, and it's like what speaks to one person might not necessarily work for the other person.
Right.
I just watched an amazing documentary about Rudolf Nureyev, one of the best ballet dancers in the world, and how when he escaped from Russia and moved to Paris and then London, it's like how he was at the peak of his career, at the peak of his body form, and but it wasn't enough, and that's when he started exploring modern dance and exploring with other choreographers and stuff like that, and same for me, it's like, because I met so many different choreographers, when you work for the repertory company, somebody comes and wants, it's like, I remember when I met, because of you, Colin James, and my question to him was, during our first meeting, where the ballroom starts, where it ends, because I said, as a dancer, I had to lay down on the floor and bang my head against the wall, and they called it dance. I had to scream on the stage, and it was called modern dance. I had to stand still, and people were fascinated how I did it. But I was just standing on the stage, but people called it dance. Mm-hmm. So it's like, that's why it's fascinating. And once it's like Pandora box. Once you open it, it's like, and you meet amazing people, and you see on, when you tour, and and then it's like, I remember going to like dance festivals, and there was like 35 different teachers, and each person taught different dance style. Just in modern dance, you have so many styles, like in ballroom. But ballroom always kept me. My fascination with ballroom comes from because I studied anthropology of culture. What fascinates me with ballroom, that it's like the mixture of so many cultures, so many periods of times, like swing, when they were created, what country, what continent, what musical background. And that's what led me to like exploration, And, it's like, yeah, it was brave. Of course, I was scared, it's like, I never did something, but it's like, how fun to discover in your body, actually. Sometimes fear is a good thing, because it creates anger, and anger sometimes motivates you into pushing yourself beyond your boundaries.
Absolutely, exactly. Sometimes the little discomfort, right? It's a good drive, right? It's a good way of, trying, like we all, I think, are driven by trying to overcome something or push it. This is unknown, a little bit discomfortable. How can I pass that? Assuming that this is the direction you wanted to go, that this is the inspiration. And I think what I love about you and many conversations that we had over the years, that you're always so curious, right? You're always so accepting and so respectful to the coaches, right? To, like you said, you met so many great people. And I feel that sometimes, now being a coach myself, you being coach, I'm sure you probably ran into the same thing. Sometimes we run into the people that they don't want to listen, right? Or they listen and they right away want to put, well, I do this. And I'm like, okay, you are just starting your career. Absolutely, we want you to develop your style. We want you to develop your thing over time, but you have to have a look at many tools. You have to speak to many coaches. You have to explore, right? And ask many questions. And if you talk to someone who've been there, who have accomplished something, have respect, listen, right, to many versions, and then yes, put it together and then create your own thing. But I've noticed that these days, a lot of time, people right away want to have their opinion. This is how I started, this is what I do, and they want to discard the information that other people have. And I find this so sad and very limiting as well.
I realized that people who argue the most, or those who don't agree with anything, those are usually those who know the least.
Oh, totally.
The least, they only know what's in their little box, and they protect it, but it's like, and the more you move into your life, into your career, your ego kind of disappears too, and because like I learned, it's like, how do I explain? And somebody says something, and it inspires me actually to dig deeper into it. That's how I went to do yoga, into my yoga, I was like, I have this book till today. I got it 25 years ago. It's called The Spirit of Practice, Moving into the Stillness. That's the only reason why I got it. How moving into the stillness, you know, and the first page I opened and it talked about energy lines, how they relate with the movement and body align. I was like, it's like ballroom, you know? So that's how I started practicing on my own. And then I went to this one festival and there was this famous yoga teacher, you know, and she says, oh, so you're doing yoga? I'm like, no, I just started it doing at home, you know. And she's like, how did it start? I said, you know, I found this book and it's like, it was so calming, and I read it and it was like my dancing. Everything I read in this book, it was just confirming what I already know. And she's like, what's the book? I said, oh, it's Eric Schiffman's, you know, Moving into the Stillness. It turned out the lady was Eric's assistant for 10 years, traveling around the world, teaching yoga with him.
How small the world, right? Yes.
And I met her in Russia, you know, during the dance festival. It's like, and then, you know, I was like, doing yoga wasn't enough. Then I became, you know, coach and teacher. And I was like, how do you align people? How do you fix them? And I got fascinated through yoga with Thai yoga massage, you know, and it's like the approach about the energy centers and alignment in the body. You know, there's so many ways, so many, it's like each culture created own, you know, and it's like, I feel like, you know, in ballroom, we talk so much about centers and the alignment, and you know, that people don't know skeleton, they don't know muscular, you know, alignment, they don't know
anatomy. We are very limited, right? Because lots of time I've noticed myself that we start from the external. How does it look? Not necessarily how does it work, right? So it's almost like we're painting the car red, but we do not have an engine and we don't have an engineer who knows how to put the engine together. So you have something that looks nice, right? Looks exciting, but then you go, oh my God, it's completely unusable. It's completely, there is no flow, there is no energy, there is nowhere. You're sitting in this fabulous thing going absolutely nowhere. Yes.
Oh, it's like so interesting because a long time ago I was coaching this doctor, you know, and you know, his teacher says, you know, this muscle, this, and it's like, this muscle has nothing to do with this movement, you know, and so I tried to like morph it, and then I said, yes, this is not what, you know, because you don't want to, you know, but sometimes we run into people who know more in certain fields of knowledge, you know, of information, way more than us, because they're experts, you know. It's like my first coach is, you know, physicist. So whenever he talks power, energy, speed, it means he could write the numbers on the blackboard at PhD level, you know. It's like I coach this new amateur couple and the girl is like PhD in math and physics. And you know, you try to be artistic, move this, turn this muscle, and it's like, it meant nothing to her. And then I said, 3/4, 1/4, this angle, that angle, and it's like the math brain kicked in, and it's like, so that coach or career, how can you not explore it? You know, it's like, oh, I have this student, you know, he's the biology student, and he comes to me, he's like, oh, you teach kinematics of movement. And I said, kinetics? He's like, no, kinematics. So of course, that day I go home, for the past 30 years, people do at the lab work, you know, they combine biology, medicine, and math and physics, you know, and then it's all explored on the skeleton system, you know, 3 joints, because body is built all limbs, you know, how it affects one joint affects the other one. And so I was like, for a week gone, you know, during this quarantine now, last week, again, I'm like reading energy, you know, lines, you know, you go back to your old books, you know, you watch something, you know.
Plus to have that extra time, yes.
And, you know, my friend, you know, sends me this message about, because there was this meditation, this global meditation one day, you know.
Yes.
There's beautiful, and beautiful picture of our Earth and the, you know, sun, and because it was formed because of the certain planets were, you know, at that, you know, planes, you know. And I started reading. I spent 2 days reading about galaxies, Milky Way, you know, our Milky Way, our planet, you know, system, and Earth. And it's like so fascinating, you know. And then again, whatever I read, it's like dancing. It's like, oh.
You know, I call this, when you're a dancer, right? So I call this, you can dance or you can be a dancer. Clearly, You are a dancer, right? We look at the world through the glasses, our dance glasses. No way. I mean, I do the same thing. You go to a seminar that has nothing to do with dancing. You get that information, get excited, and then you go, oh my God, it's just like this. So your students, your colleagues always get the same information, but filter through the eyes, through the glasses of the dancing, right? Because this is what we do. We look at life as it's a dance. We look at life of there's a flow, there's an energy, it goes through here, it goes through here. I mean, that's what we're fascinated. And one of the things, what I love about you sharing with us, that, you know, the quality of the champion, like right now I'm actually writing a book and creating a seminar of how to prepare for the competition. And it's, you know, finding the champion within, creating the champion within, what makes people, you know, how they think, how they move, and also the behavior. It's that hunger, right? Any champion that you speak to, not just in the ballroom dance, but, you know, the champion of life, anyone that is successful. We are hungry. Someone says something and you go, oh my God, let me check that. So you continuously keep on improving, right? And even though it might sometimes feel it's not related immediately, we study, we understand, we get fascinated, we're equally committed to that information as we do in anything in life. And then you go, okay, let's process it. Let's put it in a mixer. Now it's a dancing form. Boom, we plug it in. And therefore you have something new and you're inspired and you are inspiring to other people. But in order to be inspiring to other people, you have to be excited yourself. And I feel when people ask us, how do you maintain that excitement? How do we maintain that energy? Is by exploring ourselves, being almost like kids and go, oh my God, this is so delicious. And then you want to share that. So we find our own way of, I call this recycling the energy.
Yeah, but you know, the nice thing about ballroom is because we are so connected internally to ourselves. We know the body internally, we know body externally. Plus you have always second person with you. So socially as well, you know? And that's why we get fascinated by so many things, you know, because like, how does it work within your body, outside of your body, but then connecting to next person, you know? And for me, like, you know, when you dance with the company that has 10 people, 8 people, you know, performing on the stage, performing on the competition, performing on tele, you know, it's like so many different aspects, you know? And you know, like, of the champion quality, I remember, you know, like long time ago when I retired, I was like, oh, how do I do next, you know? And I remember I'm watching Oprah and she had this test, you know, for people, what's your actual like 5 characteristics of your, you know, who you are, you know? So I did it, and like my major was like researcher. Then I did the Gallup, you know, 5, you know, personalities of it, the number researcher. Then long time ago when I got Maximilian's book, you know, Dance to Your Maximum, and there is a test too, I'm a dancer researcher. It's like, so whatever, no matter where I went, which test, from the social studies, from the, you know, big, you know, companies doing studies among, you know, people. And then even in that, it's like my life, you know, it's like, it just fascinates me how it goes, what, you know, and then meeting people are like you who are the same, you know. It's like, I remember us in Ohio going to Colin James' lecture, you know, and we couldn't stop talking till next morning.
Oh, totally.
You're like, oh, do you agree? Do you disagree? He inspired us to like totally rearrange our information. And then you go like meet people and they're like, oh yeah, it was very nice. Keep your head over your shoulders. I was like, good for you, you know? It's like, and that's the level of understanding certain things, you know? It's like, I always tell Nadia, who's like my dance compass, you know, she's my coach and we became friends, you know? It's like, when I was 17, I watched competitions on television in Poland and I said, oh my God, I don't know how, when, but one day I will meet this woman, you know? And
totally. Oh, totally. I mean, you know, we've all watched it. Like, she's our idol, you know? So my brother, just, you know,
in small town in Poland, how, when, how? Totally. And I in Poland, you know, in Europe, I met her 20 years or 15 years later, 20 almost, you know, like in America, you know, and it's like,
and you know, my brother and I, right? So my brother used to dance as well. And so occasionally he would come into different competitions and stuff. And, you know, Nadia and I now are really good friends, right? So we don't only talk about dancing. We talk about, you know, us people, humans, the girly stuff, the trying to, what's your problem, what what you're dealing with, where are you living, what's happening in your life, the personal stuff. So I'm talking to my brother and he's like, and so I show him that this is Nadia, and he's like, oh my God, you know her? I'm like, yes. Like, this is the person we used to work. I'm like, yes, I get it. Now, she always meant so much to me as well. We all want to do, the ronde. Remember the famous ronde? Like, everybody wants to be as fast and everybody wants to have that energy, that excitement, right? That enthusiasm. But now, as we get older and you get to know each other as human beings, right? It's so much sweeter. Now I'm like, yeah, she's my friend. She's a person, right? That
And
we
because we are friends, you also realize why that person was so special.
Oh, totally, because you get to know them. Mm-hmm.
But I mean, like, now you know why she looks, even when I need advice in dance, or like sometimes I say something and then she says something, or like anybody you respect, because their way of looking at it, it's like sometimes our capabilities, and it's like, wow, you still, or like you touch that person who inspired you, and it's like, oh, that's how you do it, that's what you feel, it's like, that's what's so wonderful, it's like, because you said, how do you become the champion, it's like, first you're a child, then you have dreams, then they torture you and the dreams go away, but somehow inside you keep them,
Oh, you always do. I mean, that's the thing. If this
physical,
it's the only way to get it. If you don't want it, it won't happen, right? And if you do, even though it might feel sometimes you are, they're somewhere far away, if it's there and if it's at your core, it's definitely, it's accessible eventually, right? Because this is what we strive for. This is where we want it to go. And so, yeah, it's,
and it's like so interesting because we think ballroom training is so hard and tough. I just watched this documentary about training gymnasts,
oh, trust me. Yes, I agree. I totally, or you see ice skating, right? Like, oh my God, they do what we do and they do it on ice now. Oh, like, so.
But like, I have a good friend, she's a modern dancer now, phenomenal dancer, and she does contact improvisation, but she started as a skater, child. Then she lived in Chicago for 10 years. She had to get up at 3:30 in the morning,
Wow,
drive an hour to the ring, practice from like 5 to 7 a.m. every day, and then school, and next day over and over, and I'm like, ballroom seems so easy. Although, when I went to college, I didn't want to quit my school, ballroom school. So my college was 2 hours away from my hometown, but I didn't want to change my ballroom schools. So I was taking 2-hour train rides every day to school at 6 a.m., 8 a.m.
Correct. So that's the thing. I think you can
come back and go to train till 10 p.m. and next day, 3 years like this. And, it wasn't a problem for me. And it wasn't a problem.
Because it's your commitment. And that's the biggest thing, that no matter what style you're doing it, because we can compare, is the physical training hard enough? Any training, when you're training your body, at some point, if you want to be a champion, it's hard, right? When someone else, we go, oh my God, that's harder, because we already know it. But that commitment, that's what makes champions champions, that you do whatever you need to do. And you don't think of it, it's a sacrifice. You don't think, I don't want it. There is no pain associated. You're excited. You're waiting. Yes, you understand it's 2 hours. And for someone else who does not have the dream, who doesn't want to go as far, that would be too much. People will tell you, oh, that's crazy. Why are you doing this? But for you, who wants to have that access, who wants to that information, who wants to do it, you go, I'm excited. You're on the train. You are imagining already, this is how this is going to be. And you see your future. I'm going to be doing this and I'm going to be doing this. So that sacrifice that you might say, it's excitement. It's excitement driven. It's goal oriented. And I think any champion has that. Without that, you cannot become one.
But, the other thing is, how do you make it happen? So lately I've been fascinated with like neuroplasticity of the brain and all the vibration and, how it all connects us. Because, living in small town in Poland, having only dreams, it's like, David Hawkins said, before there was Empire State Building, there was a thought. Somebody imagined it and believed, that you can. And then the thought becomes the energy and the vibration, and crystallizes and becomes matter, So I feel like to build your career, it's similar, you know, it's like first is the feeling or thought, and then it becomes matter, you know, it becomes your reality. And somehow all the people who think similar way to you, or right, they come along, you know, it's like how I've never thought, you know, it's like I was young dancer in Poland and people said, oh my God, you know, you move like, did Ruth Vermeer train you or something? Because I was doing my modern dance. I said, no, you know, and then years later through Nadia, I met Ruth Vermeer, you know, and it's like, you know, it's like people you think you will meet one day, you know, same with like people on television or, you know, stuff like, you know, when I did the shows or theater people, you know, it's like, you have like this icons of modern dance, you know, and suddenly they're like working with you and they cry during your rehearsal, you know. I remember meeting in modern dance, you know, there was this innovator of one of the icons of modern dance, Anna Sokolow, you know, she's the one of the choreographers who brought theatricality into modern dance, you know, and she will later on train all the actors at Actors Studio, you know, including, you know, Marlon Brando and all of them, you know. So when she came to Poland, she was 8 years old, you know, and back then I was the one who knew English, so I was like translating her. It's like conversations with her were fascinating, you know. It's like she knew everybody from Picasso to, you know, the best movie directors, best actors, you know. And I remember it was a year when they released Terminator 2 and Arnold Schwarzenegger was on the poster and we walk on the, she's like, I know him. He was such a bad student, you know, like it's not to trash anybody, but you know, it's like because acting was for her. That's why she loved dancers, you know, because it comes from the different, you know, approach physically and, you know, mentally and everything. But it's like, how do you meet that person at one point in your life? Only by dreaming about it, you know. And then one day we have rehearsal and she, you know, she always used to be famous for yelling at dancers and, you know, she used to dance for Martha Graham for her first modern, you know, company. And I went to New York, Bolshoi Theater was coming. Yes. You know, Martha, because it was, she hated ballet. She said, we are not going, you're not allowed to go to see it, you know. So they go to dressing rooms. And back then in like 30s, dressing rooms were like basically curtains, you know. And Anna says, if she doesn't want to go, it's her problem. But it's first time Bolshoi comes from Russia to America. I'm going. Yes. And on that note, Martha opens the curtain. It's like, I guess we all are going. You know, it's like that's such a rebellion she was, you know. But I remember this one. So she was famous for like being really tough with dancers and like stop yelling at them. And at one point, I'm dancing solo in this piece that she choreographed, you know, this famous work. And she's like impatient and like making noises, and then after I finish, she stopped the music, she yells, and she comes to me, you know, and she squeezes my hands and she says, thank you, and she says, promise me one thing, no matter what they say about you, no matter what they write about you, no matter where you perform, you will never stop dancing. So I was 22 years old and I said, I promise I will never stop, you know. And it's like, because when somebody like that is affected by your movement and you think of yourself, because, you know, no matter how genius you are, how talented you are, we all struggle. You know, there is always something new or something impossible we think to do. So when somebody at that level tells you never stop and they see potential or like something in you that you don't even know, you can just feel that something is boiling in you. That's like the most encouraging thing.
Correct. But, you know, just to kind of let people know, because sometimes people think that's being fortunate. What she saw, I had a very similar experience with, you know, going to a ballet class, not knowing a ballet, feeling kind of subconscious. But then I thought, you know, forget it. I'm just going to do my thing. I don't understand. Let me just enjoy it. Right. Let's be brave enough to kind of enjoy the moment. Then all of a sudden the person go, oh my God, look at her. And I'm like, look at who? Right. And you go, what's happening? And I think over the time now, being the coaches ourselves, it's not even the quality that we portray.
Quality.
You probably were not that fabulous. I was definitely not fabulous, but that quality, that drive, that commitment, us willing, exploring, being brave enough, kind of like you were saying, Anna, she wanted to do this. You can say it rebellious, or you can say committed to her cause. Committing, I'm curious. Committing as, oh my God, this is delicious. This is what I wanted to go. And before you know it, just like you said, things will align because people feel that, people connect to that energy, connect to that vibration that we create. And then before you know it, that Ruth Ramey shows up, the Colin James, all of a sudden these people, because they are close by, they have the same energy. That's why, you know, when you're a champion, you hang around with champions, not only because we physically accomplish, it's that mentality that we have, it's that exploration, it's that commitment. It's, my friend actually the other day said, you bring a champion quality to anything you do in your life. And I thought, what do you mean? Like, I was so struck by the comment. And he said, yeah, your commitment to whatever, your party, your vacation, you meeting with people, you bring that
everywhere. It's just present.
enthusiasm, that commitment to, this is what I do and I'm not willing to settle for less. And you're excited. It's not pushy, it's not aggressive, it's just like a child being so fascinated by, oh my God, this candy is so fabulous, I want it for myself and I want to share it with other people, you know. And that's probably what she's seen in you, because this is the quality that I see with you all the time, the exploration that you do.
When you think you belong to like grammar school, you know, in dance, and somebody's like telling you you're like PhD, you know, and it's like, what? Because, you know, we also, because I realize, you know, like reading a lot, you know, like about, you know, psychology and stuff, you know, it's like when people are called genius, you know, genius doesn't know he's a genius. Mozart didn't know he was a genius. He just had to compose it, you know, it was coming up, you know, and then every genius struggles on, because it has nothing to do with like almost intelligence or like social aspect of it, you know, it's just that gift that you have, you know, and but you still struggle, you still need to improve, you still are not happy with whatever you do.
Absolutely.
Your level, it's just beyond, you know. And it's like my good friend who's a teacher, you know, I remember she went to this conference for teachers, and you know, the conference was about gifted and talented kids, you know, how to approach them. And they say it's only 20%, 25% of population is gifted and talented. Too bad, you know, not everybody can be, you know, and it says, you know, they say through all the research that it's still for gifted and talented person, it takes 10 years to establish their level of expertise, you know, or like, and then they can start. Genius level is like 3% of population, you know, that's why you have 3 podium places, you know, like, when, you know, because, but you know, genius still works as hard as anybody else, just at their level, you know, because
maybe a little bit easier, or you might have a little bit more ability to understand something, but then it's the hard work. I mean, we see this all
so
the time.
hard, and
Without
people,
work and commitment.
you
Yes.
know, the more genius you become, it's actually, the circle narrows down, because you, who will help you, who will improve you, who will, you know, how do you see the new things in life, you know, it's like, it's so fascinating to me, you know. It's like I always say, it's that whenever I coach, I used to teach a lot of kids, you know, and the hardest part to teach, I always said, you know, is the most talented kids, because talented kids will do anything you tell them. They can do anything, but what if you tell them something wrong? And they will think it's correct, you know, like, and, you know, and in some ways I was lucky. I always met like amazing experts in dance, you know, so I never, I'm lucky, you know, because it's like, I never had to reverse anything in my dance knowledge or information or dancing, ways of dancing, you know. It's like everything always made sense. It was just moving forward, never going backwards and like, oh my God, how did you get that? You know, this is totally wrong, you know. So
Well, but I think, you know, you can say lucky, or you were just determined to get the right information. You had a commitment to great things, and therefore those things present. Because sometimes, and there is a huge difference. Sometimes people say that they're committed, but inside, deep inside, they aren't. So they do not go that extra mile to meet the expert. They will settle for the studio next door. And that's a good start, but not necessary to get you to the champion level, right? So that's the thing. I'm not so sure lucky has too much to do with it. Right? I don't like to put, yes, because that's back to the energy. You have that energy of researching. So of course you're going to look for people that can give that to you. And then you use your brain. You already have enough information that you can connect that information to other information, and it makes sense, that makes sense, that doesn't, those are the people that I really like, those are the people that I like to follow. So you would never really follow someone that would not align with the truth or where you want.
Sooner or later that right person will appear in your life. It's like, after years I watched Billy Elliot the musical, you know. I remember first time I watched it, I was like, oh my god, there is no dancing. It's like, and now years later I'm like, oh my god, it's such a beautiful story. The boy in, you know, rural, you know, city, you know, no dancing, and he has this ballet teacher who believes, you know, and changes all life, you know. It's like, it's just, it takes like meeting that one person, you know. All it takes, it's like believing, thinking it happening, you know, it will happen, dreaming, and then just going for it, you know.
Well, absolutely. So unfortunately, we're kind of running out of time. So then the last thing that I would like, and I love, you know, that statement that you said, because I so believe in this, and I always advise this to people: have the hunger for what you want, and then, just like you said, find one person that's going to be your solid rock. It doesn't have to be even your coach. It doesn't have to be someone related to what you do. It could be your friend. It could be your sister. It could be your brother. It could be your mom. It could be your neighbor. It could be a teacher. Anyone that's going to say, you know what, go for it. And when you're down, because you will be down, because you're going to be working your butt off, you're going to be working hard, and there are going to be times that you're gonna, oh my God, I don't have energy. Oh my God, I don't have enough talent. Oh my God, the world is coming to an end. You talk to that person, and that person will pull you out and attach your wings again, and you are up and flying. Because 90% of the people will tell you it's impossible because they don't have your dream. It's not that they want to get you off your path. It's just their path is a different path. And if you understand that, then again, you go to the people that support your cause, that support your dream. And that's how you develop your tight circle of friends that you depend on, and we're driving each other to get where we wanted to go. And I'm so glad you are one of my people.
Like, speaking of, you know, those people, you know, it's like my parents, you know, my whole family was never in art, never, you know, they were just regular working class people, you know, in Poland. But they always said, you can do whatever you want, just do it well, you know. And I remember this huge performance, you know, like thousands of people in this stadium, you know, arena. And I'm like, oh my God, I was like scared to death. And I said, oh my God, but out of all those people in the audience, there are my parents, my sister, you know. And I said, I would just dance for them because they came here, you know. And it's like, through my whole life, they always supported. And I remember, you know, I know so many famous, amazing dancers who don't have that support, you know, sometimes. And
oh, totally.
that one person who believed them, you know, and only their inner strength somehow carries them on, you know. But we are lucky, you know, when to find that person, you know, or the family, you know, like that. It's a special thing.
It's a blessing, totally. So the homework for everyone is to find that one person. And, you know, of course, Mariusz and I, we talk about dancing because this is kind of our life, but you can do this in anything in your life, in your work, in your family, you know, the thing that you wanted to create, just something that, again, being in tune with yourself. What are your goals? What are your dreams? However big they might be, however small they might be, it's yours. And just be brave enough to say it to yourself first, and then to your friends, to the ones that you believe will help you. And the more you talk about it, you will see who supports you, who doesn't, right? That's the beauty of it. And there is so many of us, right, that there is definitely a possibility of finding that person. It doesn't have to be someone who is really close to you. It could be, like I said, someone who is a little bit farther, who you just met, and all of a sudden you connect with them. So I thank you so much for sharing with me.
Thank you.
Speaking to you, it's so great to connect with you, even though we are far away and we cannot see each other in person. So now we're always finishing my little talk with, we have to bust a move, I call this. So you have a song we could do happy, we could do I feel excited, and not necessarily anything particular danceable, just fun and exciting, so people can just have fun. Or it could be Michael Bublé. No, how I feel.
So for the past few weeks, I just listened to, I have something. But
Ah, just a good vibration, right?
You know, it's totally like changing your vibration and
Yes. So choose your song and dance to it. Dance. Life is a dance, so have fun with it. Thank you so much.
so
Love you tons. My friend Mariusz, I'm Kasia Kozak, and I will see you next time.
see you. Bye bye.